Me personally, I live 2 hours drive from Westeros and only 45 minutes from Dragonstone. I could nearly commute to the 7 kingdoms. Many is there?
Don't ask me.
Jesus.
Compared to the past seasons, has it felt different filming this one, knowing that is?
Yeah, it did a bit. Like, we're gonna have to make that true. We have to live up to the expectations a little bit, and also. Just more covered with emotion. I just, everything was coming to an end, and that just builds up a certain kind of, I don't know, some sort of feeling. I cried when I had my last shooting day, so I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, so did I.
Did you cry?
Yeah, It is possible. I tried not to, heavily, because we all...
How did you cry? Like,
I did. I sounded like Catherine Hepburn.
oh,
I had a bit of vibrato in my voice, but see, without giving anything away, there was a couple of us. It was our last day, 3 of us actually, and David and Dan, the showrunners, producers, writers, came out and kind of presented us all with a gift, and it was when the speeches happened. Then I was kind of gone. I tried to make light of it, but I couldn't. I cried like a little girl.
I mean, I would if you're finishing anywhere.
Yeah, it was really odd. Really
saying
odd.
goodbye is never easy, I find. But after 7 years, it's yeah.
What gifts did they give you? You're allowed to say.
Yeah. They gave us each of us a proper hand-drawn storyboard of a very eventful scene in our journey. Mine was being blown off the ship at the end of my first season. Yeah. In the Battle of Blackwater. So they gave us that and wrote a very personal message on the back. It'll be on eBay in a couple of months. You can have it.
You'd make a lot of money.
But it'll definitely be on eBay in a couple of months.
Over the course of the series, what would you say has been the hardest storyline or elements to kind of keep a secret from everyone?
The death of Jon Snow, that was not true. That was a hard one. And I had to lie, give straight lies to people. I didn't like that. It was hard. I didn't like it.
Well, Kit, because Sophie's 22 now, so that was like 4 years ago. She was quite, 17, 18. And she said to Kit, because Kit wasn't allowed to tell anybody he was coming back. And when she came up to him and went, "I'm really going to miss you," and he had to lie to her. Oh. And she wrote him a letter and all sorts of and he said, "I felt like the worst pig under the sun." He was reading this letter. I'd loved working with you, and you're like my brother. And he's gone, "Oh, turn back, mate." That was kind of
Kit,
weird.
It was the hardest.
Yeah, it was definitely a nightmare for Kit.
Yeah. God. And obviously, having played these characters, which are such iconic characters in the whole Game of Thrones thing, you're going to come up with a generation who are going to remember you for the rest of your careers as these characters. How do you feel about that? Because I was saying to Jerome, I mean, I come from an era where I remember Robson and Jerome, so for me, that still overpowers Bronn. But, there is a generation who is going to know him as Bronn, they're going to know you guys, your characters. How do you feel about carrying that with you for the rest of your careers?
I mean, it's a blessing, of course, because people will always know you for that. But at the same time, there's other roles that I'm very proud of as well, and I would love for them to be seen as well. So, yeah, it has both sides, I guess. And for me personally, I would not want to be seen forever as the stern, the stern red woman.
That's how I see it.
Oh.
Do you feel the same way?
No, but it's it's a bit like Doctor Who or James Bond. I mean, I'm so close to death that John Pertwee was my Doctor Who, and Sean Connery was my James Bond, and it'll be on my gravestone. It'll be Liam Game of Thrones Cunningham. But I've done lots of other things, and it's funny when people realise that Ser Davos, especially with women now, that when they were growing up, I did a movie called A Little Princess that they grew up at, and I was the father in that. It's really gratifying when people go, "Oh my God, that was just the guy from," when they were 8 years old, and that's kind of really weird. But they kind of remember. It's lovely to be remembered for something that means a great deal to somebody. That's really sweet.
Yeah, of all the shows, I mean, Game of Thrones,
could be worse, couldn't it?
Exactly, what a show to be a part of.
The stuff in the school at home. No!